I've made Washington, D.C. Just an incredible place in literally 4 days. I have friends that say they're going out to dinner. Did you see what's happening with the restaurants? They're bursting. Yes, they were all closing and going bankrupt.
That is President Trump on making D.C. safe again. The DOJ has some numbers to back him up. Take a look. 52 arrests just yesterday. A total arrests of 465 in just less than 2 weeks here. Now, some Democratic strategists seem to realize they're losing on this issue. Yeah, as a soft on crime issue, accusations pile up. An article in The Hill is titled "Democrats Face Challenge in Countering Trump on Crime." An excerpt reads this: Washington residents still feel like crime is too high and too pervasive. From a raw political perspective, you never want to give your political opponent an opening to address a real concern that your constituents have. Yeah, and that may very well be true. Coming from the background that I have, some law enforcement background, we'll talk about that one of these days. I personally, I'm not a big fan, of the National Guard coming in and stuff like that, unless there's like an actual emergency. I think that what should happen is there should just be political pressure put on the leaders of the local municipality. And if they need assistance, listen, here's how I would view it. Rather than a takeover, put pressure on them, put political pressure on them, and have someone go out there every day and highlight what's going on in the city. Put it out there on put it on X. Highlight the issues that are going on within the city, so that these people will face accountability going forward. And then if they say, listen, we're very short staffed, we can't get the law enforcement, we want help, by all means, help them out, right? But just going in there and just running roughshod and taking over, again, you guys may disagree with me. I have a very different perspective on this. I just don't like the federal government. The less the federal government gets involved in, the better I like it. I think you guys maybe can agree on that. And the problem that I think we're having is that I was watching Tim Dillon the other day. He kind of said it, he said it very well, a lot funnier than I would say it. But, basically it's like, the fascism that people see, everyone sees it from their own perspective. And when it starts creeping on your side, you're kind of, blind to see it happening. But then again, if another administration comes in and it's a lefty leader and they want to institute a crackdown on, whatever, using the federal government, everyone would have a problem with that. I think we have to try to stay, even when our side's in power and they're doing the thing that we would like to see happen, we still should try to keep rooted in the fact that we don't want feds running around locking people up in the streets. It's not a good look. Wow. But that appears to be exactly what's happening here. And even some politically, it's a win, right? Politically, it's a win. Why? Because the left is okay with doing that. The left is okay with authoritarianism and people coming in and just, making it so. Boom, making it so. Right? The right, or conservative right, the libertarian right, even the liberal right. There is a liberal right at this point. When you look at guys like Jimmy Dore and stuff like that, and other news people like that, there is a liberal, quote unquote, liberal right. Right. They're libertarian minded. They're more free speech. Some of them even like social issues and stuff like that, or even like Medicare for all and stuff like that. But at this point, they're seen as the right because they want free speech. Right. They're looking for less federal government, less government in general. And we just have to. This is a careful dance that we have to deal with right now. Politically, I said it's going to be a win. Why? Because he's going to clean up the streets. How he's doing it. That's the question. That's where it becomes an issue. In the liberal media are now finally admitting to it.
There has been a problem in D.C., and it's not as safe as the nation's capital should be.
Look, I mean, there is a crime problem everywhere. I mean, in multiple cities. Big cities have traditionally had crime problems. But there are a lot of people who feel unsafe in big cities.
And even more from two of America's most liberal publications, The Atlantic, with Trump is right that D.C. has a serious crime problem, and a New York Times opinion piece now noting many D.C. residents are secretly glad to see more uniforms. No matter what statistics say, they don't feel safe. Joe Cox.
And this is where I can kind of see when it comes to D.C., where it's something that he can kind of get away with, right? Because it's not a state or whatever, and it's kind of a gray area when it comes to like doesn't have a representative. Like you can kind of get away with it there. So if he wants to use it as a benchmark to see, look, this is what we can do. And if you guys need help, let us know and we can help you clean up your cities. And I'm all for it. The difficult part is if this starts to go beyond DC and stuff like that, that's where you can see some issues. Again, I'm all for people feeling safe. I just want also the people to get what they're voting for. You guys are voting for that. You guys are voting for the people that are defund the police, that don't care if they're homeless people, drug addicts roaming around the streets. That's what you guys voted for. And so to have him come in and clean it up, I don't really care for it, because then they're going to continue to vote for the same people, right? They voted for these liberal politicians.
Concha, Fox News contributor, joining me now. Joe, as someone who used to live in D.C. and ran 2 years ago out of D.C. because of crime, this issue is driving me crazy when I hear people try to make the argument that there's nothing to see here. And here's where we are now in this saga. This is Byron York in the Washington Examiner putting it perfectly here with his headline: D.C. crime and the Trump is bad, but he's right effect. That is in full swing. At least for the moment, fewer and fewer are claiming that crime is going down. It was always slightly ridiculous for Democrats to argue that crime in the district is just not serious enough for federal intervention. Now, at least, there is some agreement that the problem really exists. So what happened, Joe? Why did they finally come around?
Well, it reminds me of what we saw during inflation during the Biden administration, Aisha, where first we were told it was transitory, then we were told it was the Putin price hike, and then finally when Democrats and those allies in the media admitted that, yeah, above 9% inflation is a bad thing, they also would make the argument at the same time that, well, Americans don't really understand about the economy, and they really don't understand how good they have it.
If you get, please subscribe to the channel. It does me a lot of good. It's a very small channel. One click, doesn't cost you anything. Takes 2 seconds. Please subscribe.
Words, you're not feeling what you're feeling, and you're not seeing what you're seeing on your bank statements, for example. The same thing with crime in Washington, D.C. You live there. I lived near there years ago. It's always been a major problem where you do not want to go out after the sun goes down in most areas of that city. And now we're seeing that stat you shared was incredible. 465 arrests in 12 days. That's about 40 arrests per day that otherwise would not have happened. Overall, the numbers are the numbers. 9 in 10 D.C. residents, Aisha, say that crime is a serious problem in the district. So when Democrats try to downplay these feelings and tell people that things are only getting much better, it's insulting to everyone's collective intelligence.
Exactly. But it doesn't stop people from trying to fact check the White House and this administration. This started a couple of days ago with the Washington Post here. I want to put this up. They said that they tracked where Trump's forces were actually patrolling in D.C., and they said that it's not happening where the crime actually is. Well, fact is, the White House came out, and Axios also reported it, that 48% of non-immigration related arrests during Trump's D.C. takeover actually happened in 2 of the most crime-hit areas, wards 7 and 8. It is happening in the most high crime areas. I mean, what is the obsession with trying to find some numbers here and there and trying to prove your point when, like you said, everyone that lives here either knows someone that has gone through it or feels like it's not safe?
And I have a feeling, Aisha, we're not going to see an apology from Peter Baker of the New York Times, and good job by Axios, and actually doing some homework here and showing the stats and actually putting out the facts. And we're also seeing on social media, just in terms of like putting out numbers that are completely ridiculous. So throughout social media, and this is based on local news reports, saying that reservations at restaurants are down 25% from a year ago. And the argument that people are making on the left is that, well, people don't want to go to restaurants because of a National Guard presence. The only problem is that reservations are down from a year ago last week because in 2024, it was D.C. Restaurant Week during that week. It happens every year, whether you're in Washington, New York City, Hoboken, New Jersey. More people eat out during that week than any other week during the year. So yeah, you're going to get a spike in reservations. And if you compare it to a year ago, you're going to see a drop. I guarantee you, because you know this, Aisha, you're a social butterfly. It's D.C. Restaurant Week this week in 2025, and you're going to see a big jump in reservations. I want to see the follow-up reports now showing that, wow, reservations are up 25% than they were a year ago. I have a feeling we're not going to see that because that would take actual honesty and actual homework, Aisha.
Also, who thinks the National Guard is scary? Like, these are young men and women here to protect us. Like, they're here to help. That's the entire mission of the National Guard. It's actually baffling that people are scared. Joe, I love how
it's just an incredible thing, right? That people think that you're going to be walking down the street in a suit and a tie, and these guys are just going to go run out there. Like that's like the people that are on the left that are like brain broken. That's like what they think. And again, that doesn't mean that I'm for all of the nationalization of the police, stuff like that. But in this particular scenario, it's going to be a win. It's going to be a huge win, and it's kind of great to see. Clean that city up. Get it up and running again. Those people are still not going to vote for Trump no matter what, because Washington is 90% Democrat. He's doing this as, in my opinion, as like a test case to say, look at what we can do. Look at the short amount of time that we can do it in. You guys can do the same. Hold your people accountable. Hold your elected officials accountable, and get them to clean up your cities, your streets. It's not that hard. You just lock the bad guys up and keep them locked up. That's all you got to do. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. 6283 Talk on the X if you want to follow me there. Please hit the subscribe button. Again, costs you nothing. One little click. John Soto. See you in the next one. Later.